Dzień dobry, tu gorące krzesła Baltic Nuclear Energy Forum. Ja się nazywam Olga Długokęcka i zapraszam na rozmowę z panem Toddem Smithem, wiceprezydentem AtkinsRéalis. A porozmawiamy sobie o tym, że energetyka jądrowa nie jest już tylko rozwiązaniem klimatycznym, ale również to jest strategiczny wybór infrastruktury i technologii. Zapraszam. Welcome. How are you today?
My pleasure. Great to be here.
Glad to hear that. It seems like everyone is talking about energy lately, right?
Yes.
You have noticed. Why has having a trustworthy energy supply become the most important part of our national policy discussion?
Energy security is national security.
That's right.
There's no question about it. If you don't have a functioning energy supply, it's going to be chaos in your country or jurisdiction. So it's really important as well to have your own energy independence. It's one of the things that CANDU brings to the table. I was previously the energy minister in the province of Ontario, Canada's largest province. And so we talked about energy a lot. Energy prices, the abundance of energy, and just the predictability of that energy as well. And we're very fortunate in Ontario that we have 18 CANDU plants that are providing 50 to 60% of our base load power, which has allowed us also to have economic development and foreign direct investment in the province, because we are a predictable, stable jurisdiction that has, a good price for electricity as well, which is very attractive, and then a grid that is 85 to 90% clean, which is also important to a lot of companies these days. So it's very important to national security. It's really important to economic development in the jurisdiction. And of course, everybody wants their light switch to turn the light on when you flick that switch. So.
That's right. Energy is everything,
yes,
you can say.
It really is.
When we look at building a safe and steady power system, what specific role does nuclear energy play?
So it can play a very stabilizing role, and it does in Ontario. We're blessed in Canada to have an abundance of hydroelectric power. That's not abundant here in Poland for sure, but in the province of Ontario, the largest province in Canada, we get 50 to 60% of our base load power from nuclear. Another 20 to 25% of base load comes from run-of-river hydroelectric facilities at places like Niagara Falls and some of the rivers that run through northern Ontario, which also allows you to diversify and add renewables onto your grid. So we have wind and solar as part of our mix, and biomass as well, and then of course natural gas, which is used right now as a peaking facility to help meet the peaks in the province as demand soars in the afternoon, as people are coming home after a long day's work, turning on their ovens and their TVs and maybe their air conditioning at their home again after being away at work all day. So it's really important to have that stabilizing 24/7 base load power, and that's what nuclear can provide.
Yeah, there is a lot of talk about CANDU technology. Why is so unique?
CANDU is unique. It really is. There's 6 large-scale technologies globally. CANDU is the only one that uses natural uranium as its fuel because of the heavy water that's used as the moderator in the plants, which creates this slow, controlled fission activity that creates the electricity. Because of the use of natural uranium, it's the only one that doesn't require enriched uranium, which really gives you energy security in Canada or any other jurisdiction that's looking for it, because natural uranium is a commodity that's available on the open market. You would purchase that natural uranium, not require another country to enrich that uranium for you, and be able to fabricate the fuel bundles that power the CANDU units. So it really does create that energy security. I guess the other part that's really important for CANDU and is distinctive is the fact that we are using the heavy water, and the natural uranium allows us to produce life-saving medical isotopes at the same time as you're producing electricity on the grid. So you don't have to shut down like all of the other technologies to produce medical isotopes. You're doing it every single day, inserting the targets into the core of the reactor and then pulling them out, creating the medical isotopes that are treating different forms of cancer, sterilizing single-use medical equipment and food supplies. So it's another one of the very unique qualities of the CANDU heavy water reactors that we have.
It seems like so much complicated, but so much significant.
No, it really is. It's a very distinctive technology, and very attractive, particularly countries right now, with geopolitics being the way they are. Globally, countries that you thought were your allies might not necessarily be your ally. They may be starting a trade war or whatever it might be. So it's really important to know that you can produce that energy independently in your country. It's not just the unique quality of using the natural uranium, but it's also the smaller components that are inside of a CANDU reactor that can be produced really in any country. A lot of the other reactors, all of the other reactors that are out there, large-scale reactors anyway, require large forgings that only a few countries around the world really have the capability of producing large pressure vessels. CANDU units have small pressure tubes in them that are about 12 meters long that can be reproduced in countries. And I know that's one of the things that's really, really attractive for Poland is the Polonization of that local supply chain.
Yeah, actually you mentioned the fuel.
Yeah.
This is the big topic to discuss. Why is the way CANDU handles its fuel such a big advantage for our country?
Well, I think two things.
Yeah.
The fact that it's natural uranium is easily accessible on the market. And the fact that 120 different countries are looking at nuclear technology right now. And many of them are looking at pressurized water reactors, which will require enriched uranium, or the small modular reactors will require enriched uranium. There's already a shortage of enriched uranium and a real reliance on Russia. And there's a real move away from Russian enriched uranium these days. That's one of the real distinctive factors is the fact that you can produce your fuel in your country, and I think it's probably the biggest differentiator in our technology.
Okay, there is no doubt that in these big projects, people often talk about localization.
Yes.
You mentioned that. Last year at BNF, we talked about of local content a lot.
Yep.
And it's in simple terms, what does it mean to involve local businesses and local workers in building a nuclear plant, like in our project in Poland?
Yeah, sure. So, we're very fortunate in Canada that we have a supply chain that's about 90 to 100,000 people strong that are producing virtually all of the components of CANDU reactors. But the other unique thing about CANDU is that because of the localization piece, everywhere that has a CANDU reactor now, so places like South Korea, Romania, Argentina, China, India, there are local CANDU supply chains, heavy water supply chains. And so it's a very attractive part of the CANDU value proposition is the fact that you can stand up a local ecosystem, and everybody's looking for that. There have been a number of countries, and I'm doing international business development for CANDU in AtkinsRéalis in countries around the world that don't already have CANDUs. They may already have a nuclear reactor though, and there's buyer's remorse in some of these countries because, for instance, I won't name the countries, but you can imagine where they are, that have Russian reactors where they don't have any localization. Everything comes from Russia and is controlled by the Russians, including, in many cases, operating the plants.
Well, that's their politics, right?
That's right, and there's no technology transfer that's taking place. So, yes, you're getting the megawatts eventually from those units when they come online, but you're not standing up a local infrastructure, you're not standing up a local supply chain, you have really no local technology transfer that's happening, and even the operators are coming in many cases from Russia. So many countries around the world are now looking to diversify their fleets, and CANDU is very attractive to them.
Yeah, but stay realistic. How many or how much of the work can actually be done by local companies and local workers?
Yeah, well, we like to say up to 70% can be done. And that includes the CapEx, that includes the OpEx, the operation of the plant over the 35 years of the plant.
That's big amount.
No, it's a very large amount. It's the process that we have with CANDU. You know, AtkinsRéalis is an engineering firm, so you know we'll do the engineering and the procurement. We'll do some of the construction, but usually, generally, would work with one of our partners, and subcontractors would come from the local country as well. And so there's a lot of opportunity for the local country to provide, obviously, the operators. We'll train the trainers, and then the trainers will train the operators in that country. But the supply chain can be located in the country. The fuel can be fabricated, in the country where we're going, and then we'll work with engineering firms in that country as well, and of course the construction firms that will do the balance of plant. So there's tremendous opportunity for jobs to be created locally in Poland or wherever that country might be.
Yeah, actually, the whole business ecosystem is changing.
Yes. Yeah. No. It's we're very proud of the supply chain that we have in Canada, and the fact that it's been very, very active over the last 40 years, really, because when our plants hit the 35-year mark, then they can be refurbished. And we've just gone through a period of refurbishments, which are basically taking everything back to the walls of the units and replacing the entire insides in the refurbishment. So you're getting a brand new plant essentially at the end of this refurbishment at about 20% of the cost of a new unit would cost. So it makes a ton of sense, keeps the supply chain active, keeps the engineers active, and then ready to move on to the next new build project or the next refurbishment wherever it might be around the world. So our nuclear ecosystem in Canada has remained very active because we built those plants originally in the 90s. They've now come up for refurbishment. For instance, the Darlington nuclear plant, which is just outside Toronto, it's 3.6 gigawatts, 4 large CANDU units. They just went through the refurbishment process of all 4 of those units. Were completed on time and on budget at about a cost of $12 billion. So when you consider what the cost of a new plant is, as I say, it makes a heck of a lot of sense to move forward with these refurbishments, and it keeps the supply chain active and ready to move on to the next project. So Darlington's complete. We're ready to move on to the next project.
Yeah, and you can see the opportunity here in Poland.
No, absolutely. We're very excited about the strategy that has been unveiled by the government here in Poland. We've been working very closely with the Ministry of Energy and other ministries as well to ensure that they understand what Canada has to offer. And it hasn't just been AtkinsRéalis and CANDU. We've had the full support of the Canadian government with us, which I think is really important, as we mentioned, in these geopolitical times and trying period that we're in, to have those government-to-government relationships as well. When you enter into a relationship with Canada and with CANDU, you're talking now about a 100-year relationship. And as trusted NATO allies, Canada and Poland, it makes a lot of sense for both countries to move forward in this way.
Yeah, and finally, here in Poland, many people work as miners. We have strong mining regions, and those people has doubts about nuclear energy. They're scared in many ways, and it's understandable. What do you want to say to them to convince the people that nuclear energy is truly the future, our future?
Yeah, so it's baseload for baseload, which is really, really important. But I think from a jobs perspective, we've gone through this in Ontario and in Canada, where particularly in the province of Ontario, where I was the minister, we brought in policies to phase out the coal plants back earlier in this millennium. Around 2001, the first coal plants started to come offline. The final coal plants came offline in 2014, 2015. And what I can say is that at Ontario Power Generation, which is the Crown Corporation which ran our coal plants, they also run a good portion of our nuclear facilities at Pickering and Darlington. The folks that worked in the coal plants transitioned into jobs at OPG's nuclear facilities. In some cases, there was upskilling that occurred, But the jobs in the nuclear plants are actually better jobs than the jobs in the coal plants.
Yeah.
And those who work in the plants will tell you that, not just from a nicer, safer place to work, but also the paycheck is a little bit bigger
Yeah.
as well. And so there's all kinds of opportunities that will come from building nuclear plants, whether it's at Balhatuv or Konin or wherever they might be. In Poland, tremendous ability to get a job in the nuclear sector, and of course with large-scale nuclear projects there are thousands of jobs that are created. So not just in the construction, but also in the ongoing operation of those facilities over, as I say, 100 years. So it's a real generational, multi-generational opportunity when these nuclear plants are up and running.
Thank you for your perspective and for your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.